Tonight on The ReidOut.
As the verdict of this case makes clear, the department will work tirelessly to hold accountable those responsible for crimes related to the attack on our democracy on January 6th.
The Oath Keepers sedition trial he was referring to, Trump's white nationalist dinner guest, and Kevin McCarthy's embrace of his party's fringe. It's all happening at the same time, and it's all connected. And while Kevin is facing the possibility of complete humiliation in his caucus, the Democrats today made an historic and smooth transition to a younger generation of leadership. One of those new members, Congresswoman Katherine Clark, joins me in her first interview since being elected House Democratic Whip. Meanwhile, Republicans appear to be passing the torch to Florida's Ron DeSantis, buying into all the myths about the magical, mean little governor with the oversized flight helmet and snow white boots. Well, tonight, we're going to look at the reality of DeSantis and why he'd be a tough sell to a national audience. We begin tonight with a resounding victory for the Department of Justice. Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes was convicted Tuesday of seditious conspiracy for a violent plot to overturn President Joe Biden's election. It's Yale to jail for the insurrectionist, whose real name is Elmer, and who I should note wears that eye patch, not because he's some sort of war hero, but because he accidentally shot out his own eye. Meaning he's bad at two things: overthrowing democracies and handling a firearm. Kelly Meggs, leader of the far-right organization's Florida wing, who was also found guilty of the same charge, and three other Oath Keepers were found guilty on other charges. Today, Attorney General Merrick Garland said the trial shows that the DOJ will work tirelessly to hold all January 6th perpetrators accountable. It is indeed a landmark case for the DOJ. It's extremely rare for prosecutors to bring a charge of seditious conspiracy, given how difficult it is to prove it in court. It's even more rare to actually get that conviction. In fact, we could only find 3 prior cases resulting in seditious conspiracy convictions. The first actually involved Puerto Rican nationalists who stormed into the Capitol in 1954. The second involved another Puerto Rican nationalist convicted in 1980. And the third involved Sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman and other Islamic militants who were convicted in 1995 of participating in a plan to blow up landmarks in New York City after the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. The Rhodes conviction, therefore, is an extraordinary win and historic. It is good news for our democracy and a major blow to other far-right leaders. 2 more seditious conspiracy trials are set to start in the coming weeks involving other Oath Keepers members, as well as members of the right-wing Proud Boys group, including its former chairman, Enrique Tarrio. Both Rhodes and Tarrio are highly visible leaders of the far-right anti-government movement. You may recall this video released by the DOJ showing Tarrio and Rhodes meeting in a Washington, D.C. garage on the eve of the insurrection, putting the heads of the most prominent extremist and violent organizations connected to January 6th in immediate proximity to each other 24 hours before the breach of the Capitol. But I think it's important to note that the verdicts against Rhodes, Meggs, and their associates are not some separate, isolated story from everything else we've been talking about on this show every night. It's not separate from Donald Trump dining with Nick Fuentes, an outspoken anti-Semite and white supremacist, and above all, someone who hates women. Or active members of Congress, not retirees like Trump, members of Congress with actual current power, speaking at conferences organized by Fuentes. Or members of a major political party embracing white replacement theory, thanks to Fox's most watched host, Tucker Carlson, whose mission in life seems to be stoking white fear and injecting racist conspiracy theories into households across America. In fact, when you put all these guys in a room, which, I mean, it's kind of hard to pinpoint where one ends and the others begin.
You know, they say about America, they say, diversity is our strength.
How precisely is diversity our strength?
Black people are violent, you know.
They have chaos and violence in their communities.
Send the military into these black neighborhoods, make the streets safe, they'll complain about it. It doesn't matter.
We should send in the troops if necessary to restore order.
Enough with the Jim Crow stuff. Who cares? Oh, to drink out of a different water fountain. Big
deal.
Oh, the legacy of Jim Crow. That was 67 years ago. It is ancient history now.
With thanks to The Daily Show for that mashup. And that kind of rhetoric has consequences. Today, the Department of Homeland Security raised concerns about potential threats to the LGBTQ, Jewish, and migrant communities from violent extremists inside the United States, saying Americans motivated by violent ideologies pose a persistent and lethal threat. Elmer Stewart Rhodes may face a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Others will be convicted for what they did leading up to and on January 6th. But the story doesn't end there, because the story is the creeping white nationalism that has infected the party that all of these people support. The party that has invited hate and fear of fellow Americans as guests to Thanksgiving dinner. And until they kick this ideology out, and not just slap Trump around a little bit because he lost them elections, I mean, kick them out, all the prosecutions in the world won't make any difference. Joining me now is Michael Steele, MSNBC political analyst, former chair of the Republican National Committee, and host of the Michael Steele podcast, and Jason Stanley, professor of philosophy at Yale University and author of How Fascism Works. And I do want to start with you, Michael, because you used to be in charge of this party, so you know what it means when the creep begins.
Yeah.
And the creep began with the Tea Party, and you had to wrestle with it. But you actually are somebody with integrity and with a mind of your own. Kevin McCarthy, as somebody who's got to now steer this ship, let me just play you who his new boss is. Okay. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene at Nick Fuentes' event. So if Nick Fuentes is untouchable, well, she touched. Here she is.
Do you know what it's like to be canceled? And that's why I'm here to talk to you tonight. I don't believe anyone should be canceled. I don't believe in separating people and identities. I don't believe in separating people in classes. But that's what the Democrats believe in, because that's what Marxism is. That's what communism is.
And she was introduced by Fuentes at that event.
Yeah, that's just a load of crap. It's total BS. And so she doesn't want to cancel people, and she doesn't want to break people off into these different classes or whatever. Then why are you calling your fellow Republicans rhinos? Why are you separating those of us who have been stalwarts of Lincoln, Reagan, Eisenhower, Bush republicanism as something as a pariah? So, just cut the act. You're hanging out with the people who represent your values and your interests. When you show up at a Fuentes event, that says more about you than it does Fuentes, because we know who he is. We know what that is. So now your embrace of it says a lot about you. But here's the ugly, dirty little rub, Joy, is that the leadership of the Republican Party refuses to reject it, refuses to say, that's not us. MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever we want to call you, you're not going to those events anymore. You're going to go out and you're going to reject that. You don't hear that narrative emerging from within the leadership. They want all of us at this point to fixate on, we're past Trump.
Right.
We're no longer doing Trump. Trump was bad. Oh, this bright shining object down in Florida. Let's focus on that in Governor DeSantis. But I'm sorry, you don't get to wipe that stain off your clean white shirt that easily, because that's a deep stain. January 6th was a deep stain. Embracing Fuentes was a deep stain. And while you may not have done so directly, the leader of your party did.
Yeah.
And as the head of your party and as a leader on the Hill or representing the party across the country at the state level, if you don't reject that, then that's you, baby.
Yeah.
And those of us who reject it have tried to be very clear about that. But here we are.
And here we are. And Jason, I mean, here's the thing. Donald Trump has no actual power right now. Donald Trump is a retired person in Florida, all right? Marjorie Taylor Greene has electoral power. In fact, she is essentially the boss of the person most likely to be the next speaker. He has to do what she says or else. And it's not Donald Trump that is banning books. It's people like Ron DeSantis. This is the kind of books that are getting banned by Republicans who are not Donald Trump. Anything to do with LGBTQ themes, that's 41% of the books. Characters of color, 40%. Sexual content, 22%. I don't even know what that even means. Titles with issues of race or racism, that's a fifth of the books. Titles about civil rights and activism. Any biography or memoir, and those are mainly things like the biography of Dr. King. Stories with religious minorities in it, 4%. The book banning, the attacks on people who are LGBT, the attacks on drag shows. That ain't Trump doing that. That's the people that they're saying are the replacements for Trump. Your thoughts?
That's right. I mean, I think that when we ask for an apology or ask for distancing from these strategies or connections, we're omitting the fact that maybe not apologizing is a message, is a communication strategy. When you don't apologize, what you're sending is a message that you're going to stand by the extremists. Without explicitly endorsing the extremists. If you explicitly endorse the extremists, well, then you're going to lose the suburban white vote or whatever. But if you simply don't apologize, then you can have it both ways. So this is an explicit communicative strategy, and it's extremely well covered in the history of fascism. Richard Evans, the fascism scholar, says that the Nazis never explicitly denounced the radical actions of their followers. But they intentionally didn't. They left it vague. And that's an intentional communication strategy. So we shouldn't say, so from their perspective, they're doing the right thing. If there's a fascist social and political movement arising within the GOP that centers around great replacement theory, which is the structural narrative center of fascism, Hitler was deeply influenced by Madison Grant's 1916 book, The Passing of the Great Race, which was about the replacement of Nordic Americans. So this is American fascism that we're seeing, and and the refusal to distance themselves is intentional. So when we say, oh, they need to distance themselves, we're not facing reality here. Reality here is this is who they are.